YouTube. I love saying hello to YouTube and hello to Instagram at the same time. Just search the Sawalha-Adderleys. We'll see you there. Don't forget to bring a coffee or a tea, otherwise you will be well gel. I've got mine.
Hang on a minute.
Swimming.
Morning, guys.
Morning,
hello.
Everybody.
Well gel. I'm just going to go and get myself a coffee.
See what he did? Right, he's had his coffee. He's had his coffee. So I was making the tea. I said, would you like a tea? And he goes, no, I want a coffee. I said, you've had a coffee. So what he's done is, like a kid, he's waited till we're live.
Because all my subs also... Oh, look, celeriac. Is that celeriac?
Celeriac. Yeah, you said you liked it. So
I love celeriac, especially when you turn it into a very sort of almost mustardy slaw.
Okay.
It's got cream on your forehead.
Guys, celeriac. Very, very ugly. It's very badly treated because people think it's ugly. I think it's beautiful. And I tell you why I think it's beautiful. Because you can make anything that you would make with a potato or a cabbage, you can make with a celeriac. How bloody clever is that? Come on. How clever is that?
Michelle Rugginia said Gordon Ramsay looks like a celeriac.
Did he? It's not very nice. Yeah. Welcome, Chelsea. Timmis to the family guest area. Welcome. There are 20 episodes of the No Name Sunday Show just waiting for you to binge watch. Yeah, so you can make potato, you can make chips, you can make mash, you can make roast, and as Mark quite rightly said, you can do a really nice slaw, like a mustardy slaw, make some homemade mayonnaise, maybe a little horseradish, and really thin grated with, you could add carrot, you don't have to. Delicious. Is that what you want then? Shall I make that? With roast chicken?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like a slaw and roast chicken? But not homemade mayonnaise, it's too fattening.
What does that look like?
Chelsea Tim's plans for today are totally sorted because she's going to watch all the Sunday shows. Let us know what you think afterwards, Chelsea Timmis.
Why is everything sort of pulled your way? I feel like I'm squeezing in.
Guys, I was reading all your comments this morning under the emotional overeating.
She was welling
made
up.
me well up. So thank you for your comments. I've answered most of them. So
welling up.
If you commented, there should be an answer there now.
So let's get your comments up here, guys. So it's a big day today.
I look rough.
Well, is it a big day today? It feels like a big day. Why does it feel like a big day today?
Nadia should phone Kay in a live chat. Yeah, we do every Friday. We do a live Instagram. We do our walk to effing nowhere because we've always done the walk to somewhere.
Dame Nadia. That's a very
Dame Nadia. Well, I like that.
Dame Nadia. Take Thatter. I love your name. I need to stay positive today. Yesterday almost broke me. I can't feel that low again. It's funny how it just stymies you, doesn't it?
It really does. And when you feel that low, you can't imagine that you're not going to feel that low. So what you're going to put in place today to help you do that. And I think the thing is, if you start to feel low, don't batter yourself for it. Just sit with it. Just go, yep, here it comes again, feeling a bit low. But maybe in an hour, I'll go for a walk, or maybe now I'll go for... Sometimes with him, I have to literally push him out of the door for a walk because he won't go when he's feeling down.
Lucy Rose, morning. How are you both feeling this morning? Go over to Mark_Adderley and you'll see Mental Marky telling you
Mark's
exactly how I feel.
Mark's done a good Mental Marky this morning.
Bit-ish.
On his Instagram. It's really funny.
Bit-ish.
My grandson got anaphylactic shock from celeriac. He's only 10, was really bad, but homeopathy healed him, thank God. Oh, a fellow homeopathic taker.
So you were incredibly tired at the end of yesterday, and so none of us really got a sense of your response to the DOMINIC Cummings story. So
really?
No, well, no, because you didn't do the live. So
yes, because then there was
So having done your post-match analysis, you seem to be saying a lot more than anything else. He was in the Rose Garden at Downing Street.
Because it's very, it's relevant that because again, it's another endorsement from the Prime Minister says, I'm going to let him sit in my garden. Right. So the world's press can come to the garden and I just think that there's something, and don't forget, they are masterminders, the pair of them together. I think the fact that he's used his eyesight is just an embarrassment. I'm cringing because like every person with half a brain has said, why did you drive 30 miles in the opposite direction with a 4-year-old strapped in the car to test your eyesight? Get your wife to drive home and then get your eyes tested.
Can she
possibly.
not drive? Maybe
yes, she can drive.
Oh, she can. What have you got on your forehead?
Because of course, what people did yesterday was look for all of that because the editor of Spectator, wasn't she? And there are articles with her talking about how she drove here and how she drove there. So she can absolutely, yes, she's a driver.
Oh well, that's ridiculous. And also, why would you drive a car if your eyesight's not good? That's very
To
dangerous.
test your eyesight by driving is probably one of the most stupid things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And he's not a stupid man, he's very bright. So he must have thought we were all really stupid.
Oh, Janine Amory says that Kay Burley, who I have to say drives me nuts a bit, she doesn't really... she just gets
but sometimes when she gets them up against the roads.
What irritates me about her is what sometimes means she gets exactly what she
Why are
wants.
you saying that?
Yeah,
we don't care. We know
You're
that.
a
You've
scumbag.
told us that already.
Yeah.
We want to know I want to know what I've asked you, Michael Gove. Michael Gove, what do you think? So shall we get our eyes tested? Apparently, his advice is... We
apparently she interviewed him this
who
morning.
are having trouble with their eyesight to go and get their eyesight checked.
Who did? Michael Gove. I thought the official advice was to get in a car and drive to London. Isn't that now government policy?
If you are unable to drive to London to check your eyesight...
if you're struggling with your eyesight, the immediate eye test is try driving to London.
Oh my God, I need to show you guys this. You might have seen it. My friend Lee sent me this. I sent it to you, didn't I, Mark? Where is it?
Natalie Ricks. I heard about that actually.
Look at this. Barnard Castle. Should have gone to Barnard Castle.
Yeah, that's very good.
Said the Specsavers.
It is important. Here's the thing. I think everyone's getting a little bit demob happy about the prospect that shops are opening. You know, even the Dominic Cummings.
I want to know
even
what people think about Gove.
Yeah, hang on. I've got a point that I was just mentioning. We're all getting excited about the prospect that the deaths are coming down. But you're right, Natalie Ricks. It's really important that you stress this point, that the hospital in Weston-super-Mare was shut specifically because of an outbreak of COVID. And I think it's really important to note, but it was because they were being overwhelmed with COVID patients. It is important to note that however gung-ho and happy and relieved and light at the end of the tunnel we get, we have to, not only get ourselves way down the line, we mustn't fall foul of what I call the Cummings effect, of thinking that because we're relatively unaffected by it now, that other parts of the country aren't. So it's about being mindful. So I appreciate you reminding us of that, Natalie Ricks.
Well, I mean, this is it, isn't it? I think what happened, this is like human nature, isn't it? When it was raging in London, people around the rest of the country were thinking it was very much a London problem. Now in the northeast and it is true. We have to think as a whole country, and think about that. But I read that article, and then they weren't overwhelmed. It was just a precautionary, a bit like when they built the Nightingale Hospital, which is good. They're they're on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the first
numbers are up and down.
We have the first junior minister resigning, Douglas Ross. What does that make you feel?
I felt.
I mean, obviously.
I'll tell you what I felt. I felt emotional.
Did you?
Yeah. I welled up a little bit.
Easy, Natty. Easy, Natty.
Because, like I said the other day, we've had a really easy lockdown. Right? We haven't had...
Speak for yourself.
We haven't had elderly people in care that we couldn't go and see. We haven't had funerals that we couldn't get to. We haven't had... But all of the things that... We haven't been ill and had to deal with looking after our children anyway. All of that stuff that Dominic Cummings and Boris have spat in the face of people that had to do that. All of that hurt people that have had a tough lockdown with the flexing of the rules. Oh, it can be interpreted this way, but when we were given it in such strict terms, I've been really hurt for those people, not so much for us. And as I always say, I hate virtue signalling, I hate all the judgment, and I don't care if I see my neighbour doing something. If I see that's up to them, I don't care. But when the rule makers break the rules, and then all the old boys club come out and look after each other, it makes me really, really cross. Apparently this MP is a man of great integrity. If they say this is the end of his career, that's heartbreaking, apparently, because he's a very good politician, and he's just stood by what he believes. He loves his job, but he's had to stand by what he believes. He said, I cannot in all faith go to my constituents and say, okay, what my government's doing is right. I just love that. I love that.
I'd love to know how many other members... Of course, in politics, the government cabinet, there's something called collective responsibility, which is that behind closed doors, however much disagreement there is in cabinet, they all have to agree on the cabinet line that comes out. So if the Prime Minister says, this is the cabinet's attitude. So what that means is there is cabinet and collective responsibility. So to hear any minister kind of go against the grain is a big deal, because you are essentially shooting your career in the head.
But
at
it
that point.
validates people's feelings.
Absolutely.
I think that's what the important.
Absolutely.
Lynn Aoki, I've just got to read this out. He packed a picnic. It was his wife's birthday. They think we came down the effing Thames on a banana. Thank you.
I'd quite like to come down.
That sums it up.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's ludicrous, but, you know, already they're sort of saying he's only a junior minister, but it's like,
So
you know,
what?
it's so disrespectful.
Oh, Eloise, I saw this news flash up and I couldn't see it. 2 people, including teenage girl, died in Cornwall yesterday out at sea.
Yeah.
The emergency services up to, oh God, that is just awful.
Does beg a belief, doesn't it? I mean, this is a tragic story, but again, I mean, it shows you the extent to which people aren't observing lockdown. I mean, what the other
No,
thing
but you are allowed to go to the beach.
No, but the point that no one mentioned about Dominic Cummings, one of the reasons I believed I wasn't, and any of us were really to drive long distances, and I considered a long distance going across London to see my mum, or deliver groceries or whatever to her, is that if you break down or if you have an accident, you're going to put a sort of a strain on a system that might be able to cope with you, but might not.
But also when you're travelling with a car full of coronavirus, which is what he's doing, if he was to break down, everyone that came in contact with him could have got coronavirus. And when they said he could have been, he could have been responsible for loss of life, I don't think they were exaggerating with that. I don't think that was over dramatic.
But here's the thing, and this is where I would have tried to have kind of tripped him up if I was one of the journalists. He kept going back to the letter of the law, of the rules. He said, it says here, exercise due judgment. It does say that. It does say exercise your own judgment. Hang on though. But that also leaves it open for exercising wrong judgment.
But Mark,
which I think
all the
he did.
people that got fined for a lesser journey, can they now say, I want my fine back because I exercised due
judgment.
Due judgment.
Well, I think once they get to court, if they've got a good solicitor and they can afford to, I'd dispute it.
I just think that's them playing semantics. We all know what those rules meant. Come on.
Yes, his wife does drive, apparently.
His wife does drive.
But anyway, so that's the Dominic Cummings thing. So that's rumbling and rolling. I think we've definitely not put it to bed. I think it's going to keep. I think people who are unfortunately, the thing that's tied up with Dominic Cummings is the fact that he was a key Brexiteer, and a lot of people are wanting to pull him down. So I do think it's wrong to use Brexit as a kind of...
I haven't thought about Brexit.
Well, no, but a lot of people were saying yesterday that a lot of the people wanting to sort of pull him down, there was a suggestion that it was the Remain lobby.
But I think
the Remain lobby.
Again, that's disgusting. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
It's
like
diminishing.
The guy has lied his bloody pants off. That's why people are annoyed. I love this from Keris Entwistle. This situation is really exacerbating inequalities. If I get coronavirus, I'm going to isolate in my nan's shed just in case I need someone to make me food if I'm too unwell to make my own.
No, absolutely. But of course, the other news was that non-essential shops are going to reopen. How do you feel about going shopping again?
Well, when I saw that the shops were opening, first thought was, oh God, how exciting, go to the shops.
God, you made me jump then. I thought something awful had happened.
And of course, setting to one side that it's very, very important that we get the economy going because people are going to suffer terribly and we're already going to have a recession.
Morning, Robin.
And I'm thinking of all those people with their shops who are going to go under. So, of course, for the economy, it's right and it's good and all of that. But just on a personal level, I was going, not that I'm a big shopper. I'm not somebody that goes out clothes shopping for the day or anything like that. But I'm just worried about us just racing back. What we've all talked about a lot on here, racing back to full consumerism again. Because we've all done very well over the last 3 months without a lot of stuff that we thought we absolutely needed. And I just think, is this the beginning of multiple flights, fucking up the planet again?
Yeah.
Because the planet is breathing for the first time in a long
really
time.
Potentially negative reading of it all is that they often say after these moments of sort of social, economic and cultural drought, there's a sudden sort of binge of hedonism and orgies and a sort of almost over-the-top consumption of everything that's great in life, but burgeoning of the senses and all that. And my worry is that we could go even worse than we were. I said to you...
Suzanne Stone.
And also, do you remember I said last night that Josh had done really well? He'd phoned someone and...
So pleased, Josh.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased. Well done.
Yeah,
really pleased. And thank you to all the community as well for supporting.
Yeah, for supporting Josh.
Suzanne Stone. I remember this at the time, Suzanne Stone. I remember you telling us that your daughter was ill and she was a single parent. She had 2 children. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
When they had symptoms, she's a single parent of 2. I felt so
Yes,
guilty from
yes, I
staying
do.
away and they go and break the
Yeah.
rules. That's what I'm talking about when
Yeah.
I say we've had an easy lockdown. I've got my parents next door. Nobody, touch wood, has been ill. But I'm thinking of people like you, Suzanne, that we've been talking to, because these people don't talk to people. They don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking how much that would have hurt, that statement. He followed his father's instincts. What about Suzanne Stone's instinct
absolutely.
for her daughter and her grandson? But the rules told her that she couldn't.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That sums it up, Suzanne. Sums it up.
Chloe Evans, what do you think of BA sacking 12,000 staff after using taxpayers' money to furlough 26,000 staff with profit of $2 billion last
Disgusting.
year? Outrageous.
Absolutely
That's what I
fucking
felt.
disgusting.
Absolutely outrageous.
There you go.
Absolutely outrageous. Boom, in the back of the net. Shocking.
And do you know what? The British Airways staff, now we have had a few problems with British Airways and flights and stuff, but the actual staff on the ground, and you know, I do have to be aware, I suppose, that I am off the telly, so I don't know. I think Mark always says all people are nice to you because you're off the telly. But they've always been so lovely. It's really lovely. And I feel sorry for the staff because it was the staff that are shat on with these big companies. So, they're taking the money and getting rid of, and sacking people.
Lynn Aoki, the rule about protecting a vulnerable child was made to protect children in danger of domestic violence, so he's twisted that to suit his own agenda.
Oh, God. What do you think should happen, guys?
We haven't, Jake. We haven't done a film about FOMO. What do they... everyone's, I think, just outraged, shocked, and I don't quite see what can happen next. I mean, I guess they're just going to dig their heels in and just hope for it to just diminish and go away, aren't they? I mean, they could just do that. I mean, and I think they're going to hope... And I'll tell you what I really think is going to happen is I think they're going to hope... Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I just want to remember that one. Yeah.
I think they're going to hope, I think the government are going to hope that as they, and it's the timing is perfect here, and I don't want to be a cynic, but I think you're probably going to see the government accelerate the opening of things so that there's an uplift of positivity in the population, a sense of freedom.
Feels like he's giving it Stockholm syndrome.
So, yeah,
They're going to give you this little taster.
Exactly. So
that's why he announced it on the same day that he came out and said his mate was perfectly fine because they'd had a nice little chat in his office, and he's absolutely assured that he didn't break any rules.
And the numbers are going down, and all the optics on it,
that's
which
why
I keep using, is looking good.
That's why it's important that this MP has resigned today.
Well,
CD. France have it right. Non-essential shops are open, but no one is allowed in without masks and washing their hands with gels. Exactly. Security is enforcing this new practice at the door. This government have never been able to just be fucking clear on whether we should wear masks or not. Also, Leslie Gammon, track and trace
Still
isn't even up and running. And Boris, let's open shops and thank you. I've actually stopped saying where's the test trace.
But didn't he say at PMQs last week it would be ready by now?
Yes,
I'm sure he did.
And then the next day it was proved that it couldn't be ready. The date that
right, so we're missing that deadline. So it's amazing how much they're being allowed to get away with.
What's happened to these 26,000 people that they've got? Now, the thing is that apparently I was reading the other day in Germany, and let's face it, Germany have done very well. Germany, from the beginning, had feet on the ground tracers. And everyone says you cannot just have some bloody app. It's got to be in conjunction with feet on the ground.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
And Germany, apparently, right from the very beginning of the pandemic to now, have never, they've just increased that and increased that and increased that.
Claire Ross-Reed, you mentioned something that I was thinking about. On our Sunday show, we talked about toilets and how they're going to have to retrofit them all to remove urinals. Most public toilets, I think all public toilets, are closed. And yet the beaches are really busy. And I was thinking at one point, I had an idle thought, where are they all going to do? Because when we used to get a Canberra Sands, do you remember? One had to quite seriously consider
where are we going to go?
Where are we going to go for a week?
Where are we going to go?
What is happening with all these people?
Look what's happening.
So Claire Ross-Reed says they've been very busy. People have been using people's beach huts as toilets. You're fucking joking me.
We've sworn a bit too much.
I haven't sworn at all.
I have.
That's
Claire Ross-Reed,
so
and how's the
uncouth.
bushfires there? Because you've been dealing with the bushfires as well, haven't you?
What? In Dorset?
Yeah, Claire had fires.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I thought you thought we were in Australia for a minute.
With total storm addict, you thought we were in.
And they want us to let our kids go to school. They want us to trust them well. All I can say, it begins with
The thing is,
It's very
I just don't trust
confusing.
the government at all. I mean, I genuinely don't. And listen, don't get us wrong, right? We are Labour voters. But once Boris, and at the beginning, we were so supportive of everything Boris was doing in the government, weren't we? Go, here we are, and thank God we haven't got Jeremy Corbyn, because nobody would have wanted Jeremy Corbyn in charge. And I've really tried to just go with them and support them 100%. But the track, trace and isolate that they just are not telling us anything about. We've even got scientists on the briefing stage saying the same, saying that we've asked about test, trace, isolate, and it's not, and they don't even answer us that, but they take all the time in the world that's needed over the last few days to sort out their friend's back. Yeah. Now, I know it's not as simple as that. He's obviously a brilliant strategist. It's not just about their mate. He's obviously a very important cog in the wheel of their government. But the point is, they don't care how it looks to us. And it does matter how it looks to us, because we are the people that put them in power or can take them out of power, and they seem to not be caring.
Millie Parfitt, there was an interview with a young man who is being employed to be a tracker. He has had zero training and is being paid to do nothing. He's been told to wait for emails. Joe Sweets, track and trace, have applied to be a contact tracer, but we have to buy a laptop, as the NHS one is not good enough. You are having a laugh.
This is fascinating. I haven't met any of these. Is this true?
You're having a laugh. We could not organise a piss up in a brewery. I'm beginning to think we need to get the head of Witherspoons to run the country.
So one person said they're being paid, but they haven't been asked to do anything. Another one has, but it's
can't because he hasn't got a laptop. Because the NHS
the contact tracers are not in post yet. Take a photograph of that.
Joe Sweets. I'm just going to take a shot of that, Joe. She wants to. This is it. I mean, I just give up.
I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I think
that's really interesting. I've not heard from anyone.
I think all the government are hoping for now, and I think this is what they're trying to ride out, is that by the graduated return to normal, everything will be forgotten. Everything will be forgotten. I think that's the hope. I think I think the hope is that we'll all choose to turn a blind eye, because we're such lemmings. We'll be so distracted by the joy of buying pointless shit we didn't need in the first place. We're all going to be like that. Oh, I can go to the shops. I can go to the shop. I mean, I think so many people have learnt of ways to save money. Yeah. If you can now return to earning and still not spend it on pointless, useless shit, we could all be a lot better off.
Do you know, I've got another thing going on in my head now. It's like, it's taken us all, hasn't it, as this long, I think, to actually come out of the shock of what's happened to our lives, that we're in the middle of a pandemic, something we never ever have spoken about or feared. It came out of nowhere, and we're just sort of like going, oh, Jesus Christ, okay, yeah, that did really happen. And now we've turned around and we've gone, oh my God, we are not being looked after.
No.
I think the furlough system is great, don't get me wrong. I think with that sort of stuff, my God, I'm so glad I was born in this country. Yeah. But I don't think that they've got a plan. Yeah. I really hope they have, but it doesn't feel like they've got a plan. That has really depressed me about the track and tracers. Yeah. They're not even being used. They've not even had any training. So it means we're miles away from it.
Bernadette Dodson, thank you for reminding us of this. The minister's children all go to private schools and they're not going back until September. So it's not about whether they should. Now, what's happening is a huge moral debate. We're going to have to go in a minute. A huge moral debate is developing about whether kids should or shouldn't go back. So they mustn't lose more education. The point is, for a lot of kids going back to school now, yes, 6 weeks could be a long time, but we're pretending like we're at the beginning of an academic year. We're not. We're not at the beginning. So why is it? Let's just ask the simple question without what we think should and shouldn't be. Why is it right that most private schools, or Eton and all those kind of really posh schools, are going back in September? And why does everyone else go back sooner? When what I think needs to happen is, from what I'm hearing about how the schools are going to be when kids go to them now, if we go now, they're going to be very hostile, unfriendly, incompatible for any child that has any sort of nervousness. It's going to be a very frightening and sort of very unwarm and inviting place. Why not find ways over a much longer period of time until September to both observe COVID safety, perhaps the disease disappears even more so that we can loosen some of those rules, and have a more sort of amenable and agreeable space in the schools and hit the ground running come September.
But as my friend said yesterday, that a lot of her friends are just desperate for their kids to get back to school because they've got to get back to work. Because they're on 0-hour contracts. And so, you know, to say, oh, but schools are used for childcare, to a degree, of course they are. Because people have to get to work. As with everything, it's so complex, isn't it?
Yeah, so many different levels. Anyway, guys, we're going to have to really go. Suddenly, I've just seen the time. It's 10:25.
See you later. On YouTube, on our page, up at the top, where there's the circle with our photos, when it's got a red line around it, that means we've left a story.
Yeah.
You click on it and you read the story just like you would at Instagram. And that's the way we're going to start telling you when we're on and what we're doing, in case your notifications aren't on. So we haven't worked out yet laters. We're going to...
Oh, by the way,
we're going to do the normal people review later.
Yeah, we're going to do it as a pre-record and plop it up. Anyway, guys,
do it as live.
Well, we could do it as a live later. Yeah, episodes. I think, what is it? 9 and 10.
And of course, we do the live tonight.
All right, guys. See you later. Lots of love. Bye. Bye.